I stood in the midst of the world, and I appeared to them in the flesh. I found them all drunk. I found none of them thirsting, and my soul was afflicted for the sons of men. For they are blind in their heart, and they do not see that they came empty in the world, and empty they seek to leave. When we're already full, when we're completely content with our spiritual understanding, there's no way for the transformative nature of Yeshua's gnosis to take shape within. We're not talking about drunkenness in a physical sense,
where we sip champagne when we thirsty.
As much as I love Biggie, there's more to Yeshua's wine than quenching our thirst. Yes, my guy actually made his debut on the world stage during a week-long wedding ceremony in the Gospel of John. He also made sure the dearly beloved and friends had plenty of wine to sip. It's even the first of his works. But y'all know how much Mystical Mind State loves allegories. So let's explore the one shrouded within the concept of drunkenness. Remember how John introduces Yeshua? The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. Plenty of scholars have associated the Logos with the first day of creation and came up with all sorts of beautiful ideas that make a fair amount of sense. Especially if you need the sun that props up your entire religion to be present from day one. Except Chesed is associated with the first day of creation, and its divine archetype is encapsulated within the name El. In Canaanite mythology, El was regarded as the supreme god, the father of the gods, and the ruler of the pantheon. He was associated with wisdom, authority, and divine power. The worship of El predates the emergence of Israelite monotheism and can be traced back to the 2nd millennium BCE. Both Yahweh and Yeshua himself are often referred to as sons of El Elyon, or sons of the Most High God. Obviously, there's a lot more going on here than we usually consider. There's a concept of deity beyond creation described by Moshe as I am, the Gnostic concept of the God of this world not being the one true God, a lot of Akkadian overlap, and dozens of other philosophies to consider. So exactly what did come into being via the Logos? What came to be through him was life, and this life was the light of the human race. The triune expression of deity shines into our ignorance of flesh, a lack of knowledge none of us intoxicated ones satisfied with our understanding would even be able to receive. I mention the Holy Trinity because it's God's manifesting power that's being displayed here, and the gospel really builds in this concept as it unfolds. It was God's desire, I am, that breathed the universe into being and imbibed it with water, Sophia, and spirit, the light of awareness called Logos. It's not the divine light associated with chesed and love, it's something older, something before the earth could be. Sophia is Chokmah and the Logos is Binah, and they find union when they are drawn into Tiferet. The same way Solomon urges us to write love and faithfulness on the tablet of our hearts, Yeshua alludes to our need to bring spiritual awareness to the water and spirit of our internal nature. It's bringing the conscious and subconscious mind together in union. Make no mistake, the Yeshua mystery of transformation from water to wine is an ancient one. How does Binah channel Chokmah? What wills Chokmah into being? As it states, we were born not by natural generation, nor by human choice, nor by a man's decision, but of God. It's really poetic if you think about it. Sophia in Logos slides into the explanation of philosophers like Philo. But we forget who those philosophers were describing Judaism to. Greek thinkers. Some of the implications get lost in the mix. For instance, and the word became flesh and made his dwelling among us, means he literally pitched his tent, his tabernacle. Think of the tabernacle in the Old Testament. To say Christ established a temple is to say he created our meeting place with God. He's walking us to the bridge between the realms above and below. He's connecting the dots between Chesed and Gevurah and leading us towards a supernal triad. And we saw his glory, the visible manifestation of God's power. But wait, if this life was the light of the human race and the light shines in the darkness, then Christ's light shines awareness of being from within us, right? All of this carries deep symbolism for both Greeks and Jews, and it still speaks to us today. The Gospel of John is a mystical text written to reveal how Christ connects our inner tabernacles beyond typical human perception. He's awakening our collective soul to that cosmic connection within everything. How does the gospel resonate with you? That's where your ultimate truth lies. Personally, I don't see the book of signs as some obscure account of things Christ did to prove his divinity. The gospel is establishing how Christ will reveal God within those that follow the prescribed path of transformation. Sons of the Most High, or Messiahs, aren't flesh and blood men in that way. It's an internal truth. Each of these 7 signs is a spiritual lesson that leads us closer to God. So John reads as a sort of spirit manual on how Christ transforms our understanding. Banal, right? A lot of mysteries may not make sense to the casual student of mysticism, as a lot of the symbolism used by John was used with the assumption that readers were already aware of what he was talking about. Even with passages like Yeshua and Nicodemus being present to clear up any confusion between words or double meanings, we still need a pretty profound understanding of the philosophies of the day. Unfortunately, that isn't something we can genuinely cultivate unless we aren't satisfied with our current paradigm. We can't already be drunk and expect to have our fill of water transmuted into wine. You got to pour out the creatures, right? Next time, we'll discuss the wedding at Cana and dive a little bit deeper. In the meantime, keep breathing in light and living in love. Deuces.